Welcome back, everyone. Thank you guys for joining us as we start a brand new week. The MMA weekend recap is in effect. It's Monday. But Dominic, the hangover from Saturday night,
Mm,
is pulling us back in. So
hmm
hopefully you guys have some Pedialyte nearby, some blue Powerade, some what else did I use? Ibuprofen
Yeah.
to keep it close by because Dominic, what we got Saturday was from top to bottom, probably the best card of the year so far. And honestly, an all time classic, top to bottom, great fights, great finishes. The main event, all time classic, as I said, an
Yeah.
absolute war of a main event. The card was the first time being on pay per view in Singapore, and I think that the Singapore audience probably, I think Singapore gained a few MMA fans last night because
Yeah.
what a card to make your debut for them. So we are recording this a little early for us. You guys can't tell; you're getting it at the same time. It's Sunday at 10:30 in the morning, though, and all right, easy there, early worms, like fucking yelling, like, oh, that's not early. Okay, well, it's Sunday, all right? Like, give me a break. We went to bed at like 2:30. Like, come on,
Yeah. Yeah.
give us a break. But we're doing it for a good reason. Dominic's little sister has a dance recital today. Good luck to her and the rest of the gals as they, well, dance. Look at
Yes.
that,
Very
Dominic.
true.
I did that intro better the second time than I did the first. So,
This is true.
how how are you feeling today on the come down right now?
Yeah, as you said, the fight hangover is in full effect. Some Sundays they just hit 10 times harder than others, and that is one of those Sundays today. Obviously, Monday when you're hearing this, but it was just such a great night of fights. One of those that'll be filled with talking points for the rest of the year as we continue on this latter half. What a great pay per view to finish out the first half of the year as we move into July with International Fight Week and everything coming up. So it was fantastic. I can't wait to break it down with you, give our thoughts, and recap it all. But yeah, it's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good week. Let's get right into it.
I agree. Let's start with our main event, Dominic. But before we do, we got to plug our social media.
Good catch.
And now,
See?
and yep, I caught it. So therefore,
Yep.
Dominic, you're the one that's gonna say where they can find
Cherry
us.
bomb. Yeah,
Yep.
so you can find find us on Twitter, on Instagram, and on TikTok now, above my head at BAJ _ MMA podcast.
And
If you're
Twitter.
watching, and wait, yeah, what did I say?
You said Instagram and TikTok now.
Oh, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, OnlyFans. No,
Wait,
anyway, yeah. And then if you're watching on YouTube, like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell so you never miss an episode. If you're following us on audio platforms, give us a follow there. Give us a rating if you can. It helps boost the channel. Personally, you can find me at DSlee14, and for Noah over there to my sidekick at ntbaker_. Did I cover all the bases?
I think you did, and I think Dominic just called me the Robin to his Batman, and
I
I'm
think
okay
you're the
with that.
Batman to my Robin.
Well, I was okay with that because like Robin's never the fat one, so like I was kind of like
Touche.
Dominic telling me I'm looking slimming, perhaps.
You are
Just kidding.
looking
I'm just kidding.
lavish this morning.
Thank you. Let's start with our main event, Dominic.
Yes.
Jiri Prochazka is our new UFC light heavyweight champion. As I said at the top, one of the all-time classic fights. He gets it done with 28 seconds left. A submission win over the former champion now, Glover Teixeira. A lot of talking points through this whole card, but this fight, no different. Let's start with the fight itself, and then we'll kind of break down each
Yeah.
fighter here. So, the fight itself, Dominic, I'm going to ask you a question because everybody knows what we're going to say. The fight's amazing. It's
Yeah.
an all-time classic, blah, blah, blah. I want to know from you, just gut reaction. I know you are the king of recency bias.
Yes.
On that one. So I feel like you're going to lean away here. But did we see the best light heavyweight fight of all time Saturday?
Ooh. I mean, immediate reaction, truthfully, in my head, it's still John Jones versus Gustafsson 1.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
That's like the only one that rivals this. You know what I mean? Like all the other ones aside, like, so yeah, it comes down to those two. And if you want to really include recency bias, last night had much more in terms of there was grappling, there were submission attempts, the transitioning, the ups and the downs, and you felt
The
like there was a fit.
swings.
Yeah, like whereas in Jones versus Gus, it was on the feet, it was a war. You could I felt that Gus maybe even won that fight, but it was like there weren't as many X's and O's in that one as this one. So they're both just held them right here.
The Jones Gus one, a great fight, and I
Yeah.
hate to I'm the one having reasons about what
Yeah,
going
yeah.
on here. But the first fight, when you really watch it back now, what made it so good was that Gustafsson was essentially written off as a guy who didn't really have much of a chance. John
Very
Jones,
true.
dominant champion, and he took John Jones to the brink, brought a lot out of John Jones that we had not seen up to that point, and obviously created another star in Alexander Gustafsson as a true, contender at light heavyweight. But when you watch it, there's never a time that either guy looks like they're gonna be out. I mean, it's very, it's in a lot of ways it's Peter Yan versus
Corey Sandhagen. Yeah.
And that was why that fight was lower on my fight of the year rankings than you had it your number one, because I prefer a little bit more drama if I'm gonna pick and choose and nitpick like that. So this fight, in my opinion, fuck it, I'll shout it from the rooftops, people. I think it's the best light heavyweight fight in UFC history, and I think it rivals pretty much any other top 10 fight in UFC history. This fight was special.
Yep.
It was special. It was why we love this sport, kind of all just wrapped up into one single fight.
Amen.
Yeah, Glover Teixeira, the aging wonder, the champion, 42 years old, wondering how long can he keep this up. He's taking on a guy 13 years his younger, I almost said elder, Jiri Prochazka. Prochazka looking to become the first champion from the Czech Republic. You got a stylistic just dream of a fight here where Jiri, being just a fantastic striker who carries one-punch knockout power, Glover Teixeira, a great boxer in his own right, but at his age has really developed a full game where he can take you down and finish you via ground and pound or submission.
Yeah.
And both guys on the reverse end looking like they wouldn't be able to hold up if the fight stuck too long in the other's realm.
Yep.
If the fight stood for long extended periods, we thought Jiri would get the better, and then if the fight was ever on the ground for extended periods, you thought Glover was going to have a pretty big advantage. And that did hold true, but both guys were very resilient in this fight. Yeah. They just, the momentum swings explain that, What made this fight so awesome was it wasn't like Glover gets a takedown, and he got takedowns 3 or 4 times in this fight, but every time he did, I don't think it ever that wasn't just how the rest of the round went out.
No.
Jiri would get his feet on the cage and he would push off and flip the position, and then he's in top position, and some of these rounds were hard to judge.
Yeah.
Just because you'd have Jiri dominating round 2 on the feet, and then with a minute and a half left, Glover gets the takedown and starts landing some great elbows, gets that cut above Jiri's
real
eyebrow.
nasty.
I mean,
yeah,
just real, just exclamation point at the end of the round. And then, these guys, due to the output, due to just the high level of what we were seeing, they couldn't keep it at that pace forever. But even in round 4 and 5, these guys were still giving it their all. And it seemed like Glover was the fresher fighter, at least at first in round 5, because he starts landing bombs on Jiri Prochazka on the feet. Prochazka, not the speed, not holding up. It seemed like at that point he wasn't able to evade the shots like he did earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And Glover nearly finishes that fight, makes a huge mistake and goes for the ghillie.
Yeah.
That probably cost him championship retain there. And then once the fight's on the ground, though, again, like other momentum swings. But then Jiri getting that submission with no hooks in, less than a minute left in the fight.
Crazy.
Glover said he was spent. He had nothing left. He tapped out and knew. I mean, that's the beats of the fight right there, people. That is everything that you saw in this fight. And obviously we can go into it more from there. When you, gosh, like I'm trying to think of kind of where to go. Like with Glover Teixeira.
Yeah.
I want to get your thoughts on Glover here. There was that nice little soundbite when Daniel Cormier is interviewing him after the fight. He asked kind of what's next, because everybody's kind of known that Glover doesn't have a ton of time left. He's 42 years old.
Yeah.
And now he just lost his title. Were we going to get a second retirement of the night? Yes, after Joanna, who we'll talk about later. And Jiri said, well, did I look 42? And it was like, hell no. So my thoughts, my question for you, Dominic, is be honest here. It's not a simple yes or no, but throughout this fight, did Glover Teixeira look 42 years old?
No. If anything, he looked 24 years old. Flip the numbers. I mean, it's crazy the amount of just resiliency that this guy has, the full-on skill set that he has. Yes, he got damaged a lot. Yes, he ended up getting finished and losing his belt. But my God, if it didn't come with him threatening with so many, I mean, there were so many finishes that I thought were going to happen, and then they never happened, and just the momentum switches. It's crazy. I don't think I've ever seen that many in one single fight. It was absolutely insane. So yeah, I mean, 42 years old to still look that damn good against a guy that is 13 years younger than you, and a guy that hits like a brick shithouse, and you just eat him and keep marching forward. It's unreal, dude. And I think he does fight one more time. That was kind of the narrative for him, and I was listening to like the embedded and stuff coming into this week.
Mm-hmm.
He's got room on his wall. I thought this was the perfect way he described it. He said he has this wall in his house, and he has all the fight posters that he's been a part of. And he said the day that there's no more wall space is the day that he retires. And coming into this week, there was room for 2 more posters. So this fight and then one more. And I think after that performance, after that post-fight interview where he seemed to have so much more life left in him, a little bit more to give to the UFC, to the fans, I think we see him one more time, and damn it, he deserves one more fight too.
I completely agree, and this is going to come off like maybe I'm being somewhat negative to Glover, but I'm not. I think he definitely looked 42 for large portions of this fight. I mean, you can't be serious, Tom. You said you looked 24 years old. I mean, Glover Teixeira definitely looked his age at points here, like especially in the striking for most of the fight. I mean, he was eating punches like a young fella, but the speed difference was a big problem for him for large portions of the striking. Glover just, I think where he showed more of a youth left in him, like what you're talking about, is, again, the resiliency, the chin, stuff that we didn't expect to hold up. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, my big question that was in my head was, how hard does Anthony Johnson hit that he knocked out
no shit.
Teixeira in like 10 seconds? Because Jiri Prochazka hits fucking hard, man. And he was landing some uppercuts and straight rights. I mean, he was landing it all. Glover definitely looked his age at points here, but it didn't matter because he was so resilient. He showed a lot of toughness, a lot of grit throughout this fight. It's so weird. What I didn't expect was what kind of let him down was his fight IQ. That seems to be what sort of let him down here. And really, you could argue that for both fighters. Like, it seemed like both guys, as great as this fight was, as great as both guys were, you know, Glover less so, but Jiri was very negative about his performance here, despite winning the title. And I'm not going to be negative on this performance. I mean, they both fought amazing. It's just in the heat of the battle and when instincts were taking over, there were a lot of mistakes being made on both sides. And those mistakes ultimately cost Glover the fight, in my opinion. You look at the hurting, nearly finishing Jiri on the feet, and he jumps on that guillotine. That was a big mistake. feel like there was another one. I think
Well,
there was
even
a
like just shooting for a takedown in general, I think maybe even round 4, he had Yuri up against the fence, wobbling, and went for a takedown, and people were like, "What are we doing? Why are we shooting for
well,
a takedown?"
yeah, I don't know about that, but I do know that I think there were a few times or a couple times when he had the mount, he's landing vicious ground and pound, and then he would kind of stop, like as if
Mm-hmm.
to save a little energy.
Yeah.
But I almost felt like if he just kept going for a few more seconds, like the ref might jump in.
Yeah.
Just because I mean that's a very vulnerable position for Yuri to be in. But
Yeah.
um, this is all I guess in some ways hindsight, and I don't want to focus too much on that because of how great the fight was, but it was just surprising, I guess. For Yuri, I could fully, if you would have told me fight IQ was his letdown, I'd probably believe you. Not that I don't
Yeah.
think he's a smart fighter, I just think that his style is so unpredictable and
Yeah.
wacky or whatever you want to call it that I could completely see him doing something that he shouldn't, and he gets caught or gets put in a very vulnerable position. I think his problem was he would hurt Glover on the feet so many times, but he would get too overzealous and overextend, and that's when Glover would reach for the takedown and likely get it. That happened multiple times through rounds 1 through 3.
Mm-hmm.
But again, both credit to both guys for once the fight was in a certain position, whether it's on the ground, on the feet, they didn't get complacent. They kept
Yeah.
trying to find ways to give themselves the upper hand, and that's why this is like you worded it good on Twitter, Dom, afterwards, where you said like this is the kind of fight that you
Mm.
show someone to make them an MMA fan. I mean, this is the
Yeah.
kind of fight that, like, for me, it was like a Dan Henderson Hector Lombard at UFC 199, or a Michael Bisping getting that title in that nobody saw coming against Luke Rockhold. That's what I sticks out to me as like fights that kept me a fan for life. And for someone, this fight will definitely be that fight that like
Yeah.
keeps them coming back.
$100%.
It's the perfect storm in a lot of ways.
Yeah, every possible I feel like scenario you could think of in an MMA fight happened in 24 minutes and 32 seconds last night. It was absolutely unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable.
Yeah. So Yuri Prochazka heavyweight. Your thoughts? He was 28 seconds away from losing the fight.
Mhm.
Losing. I mean, on the judges' scorecards, he was down on 2 of the 3 scorecards. The other one had it tied going into the 5th round, and if that fight rides out without a tap there, I wonder if Glover gets that round too, because he had won most of that round
Mhm. Mhm.
before that. So Erie loses the fight if that goes the next 28 seconds. Um, I don't know what my question is here. I just kind of want to know what you're thinking about Yuri Prochazka as your champion. Does it feel any certain way to you? Do you feel like it's a big just like a big moment for him in his third UFC fight to capture gold like that, or do you feel like maybe it's a bit of a fluke, or I mean, just what goes through your head when Yuri Prochazka gets that belt wrapped around his waist?
Oh, just it's a fantastic story. Obviously, it shows the globalization of MMA and the sport. First champion ever from the Czech Republic inside the UFC. He gets it done in emphatic fashion in an amazing fight. One that he was down in, likely to lose on the scorecards. I didn't even know that about the scorecards. I'm glad you pointed that out. And it feels like also a guy, Yuri, that can put together 2, 3, 4, 5 title defenses, or go out in his first defense and get knocked out within 30 seconds. I don't know what's going to happen during this title reign, but I know that it's going to be a fun ride while it lasts. It's so exciting to have this new fresh blood at the top of the division. I'm just excited to see what he can do with it.
Now I'm going to get instant thoughts here, or I guess 12 hours later, instant thoughts, however you want to word it. The fight was so good.
Yep.
Glover Teixeira, 28 seconds away from retaining that belt. Do you run this fight back?
Oh, I oof. Immediate reaction, no. I don't think they would run it back. Would I be upset if they ran it back? No. But I think Jan was there for a reason watching the fight. And also, what I thought was interesting in Dana's interview with Brett Okamoto this week, he said that Ankalaev versus Anthony Smith would be a number one contender fight. So I don't know if he just forgot about Jan or if he was like, that's next up after Jan. I don't really know what's going to happen. But no, I don't think that fight will get ran back.
I mean, if you're in Dana White's shoes, is that the fight you make, though? Do you run it back, or do you stick with Jan, or do you do the winner of Anthony Smith on Kalaev?
Yeah, I would do the latter too. I would go on. It sucks, man. Like, I wouldn't be opposed to Jan getting it. It just stinks that he won that fight against Rakic, but Rakic blew his fucking knee out, and that's
Yeah,
how he got the win,
well,
Like, so
let
to
me
me,
just.
go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry,
I was
I
just
didn't
gonna
mean
say
to cut you off.
Ankalaev Smith would feel more like a number one contender than Jan Blachowicz, even though Jan Blachowicz is number one right now and coming off of a TKO win, technically.
I'm pretty sure Dana's never said Jan would be number one contender. I actually think he kind of said the opposite. It seems that everybody else is. Jan said he's the number one contender. Glover said he would be the number one contender. Yuri at Saturday night, I guess they had some words on his way back, and he blew him a kiss, which was pretty funny. Uh, but Dana himself is not committed to that. He is committed to Ankalaev Smith being a number one contender fight. So that is an interesting problem to have. I think it's a good problem to have for light heavyweight that you have so many options. But I'm just gonna. I'm not sure. I'm gonna talk my way through it, but I am gonna play a little devil's advocate for Glover Teixeira to get that immediate fight. Dominic, he was 28 seconds away from winning, from winning the belt, and it's one of the best fights we've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have much left, at least fight wise, but I think there's a great. I almost think there's more reason to run that fight back than to do Yuri versus Jan Blachowicz.
Yeah, I would say Glover probably after that fight deserves it more than Jan, but I think winner of Ankalaev Smith should get the next shot.
Yeah, what I think is going to happen, I would probably say Jan is in the driver's seat right now. I think there's a lot of pressure on.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I would say Jan's in the driver's seat, but let me say this. There's a lot of pressure on Ankalaev and Anthony Smith to deliver. Someone.
That's true.
Ankalaev cannot do to Anthony Smith what he did to Thiago Santos.
Yeah.
Anthony Smith can't. I mean, Anthony Smith always brings it.
Yeah.
I don't really have a good example for Anthony Smith. But
pressure on Ankalaev here.
There's pressure on Anthony Smith to win the fight for sure.
Yeah.
Because Ankalaev is, he is a huge threat, and most are kind of thinking this guy could be a title holder. For Anthony Smith, there is a big redemption story for him.
Oh man,
he actually made an appearance on the Ringer MMA show, their post show last night. He hopped in on the call. He happened to be on there, and kind of what he said was it kind of sucked to watch Glover lose because he felt like that was his redemption story.
Oh.
Because Glover, that's the fight where he was knocking Anthony's teeth out. It was really ugly, just. Pretty rough fight to watch, honestly, because he just got beat up for the majority of it. And he said that would show how much he'd improved if he could come back a couple years later and defeat Glover or look better, But I don't even know if that's Glover can't really be painted out as like a villain type or like a final boss type. So I don't really think that storyline would be played up too much for Anthony Smith, for that fight. But I love the idea of Anthony Smith or Ankalaev fighting Jiri Prochazka. I think that's great matchmaking. I think it'd be a great fight.
Yeah.
I think Jan Blachowicz and Yuri is a great fight. I think if you run this fight back, there's a lot of sense in the world to do it. I think it's a good problem to have at light heavyweight, truthfully.
Oh yeah.
If you made me pick, if you said which fight do I want to see most? It's going to depend on how the winner of Ankalaev Smith performs.
Yeah.
If Ankalaev, again, if he does the same thing he did to Thiago, kind of this decision win, kind of lackluster fight, then I think I would pick to run the fight back between Glover and Yuri,
Mm-hmm.
just because it's one of the best fights we've ever seen. Glover's so close to retaining, getting
Yeah.
better in most rounds in that fight. I feel like there's a lot of people that would call for it, that would want to see that fight run again. And then if Glover wins, then you have a trilogy,
Yeah. True.
and stuff like that. Jan, I think, is one away. Now, would I be upset if Jan gets the title fight? No, because he was a good champion and he did what he had to do. He got a win against Rakic, but
Yeah.
you can't help the fact Rakic, his knee blows out. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what happened. Jan didn't really win the fight. Rakic was just unable to continue.
Right.
So a win's a win, but I would say, like, if Ankalaev goes out there and smokes Anthony Smith, then I say you run Glover and Jan back, and then you put Ankalaev in a title fight with Yuri. That's what I would.
That
say.
would be good.
But,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Jan's like right there again, but a lot of interesting matchups. So you're right now. If you had to pick, are you going at winner Ankalaev Smith, or do you think it kind of does depend on how they perform?
In a way, it does depend on how they perform, just because, especially like recency bias, Ankalaev's last fight against Santos was a Debbie Downer, but most fights with Thiago Santos have been Debbie Downers lately, regardless of who the opponent is.
That's true.
So yeah, winner of that fight to me right now. That's. I mean, you got to just look at the win streaks too. Like in terms of like who deserves it. Ankalaev's won like 7 or 8 in a row. It would be 8 or 9. Anthony Smith's having a career resurgence. He's won 3 in a row, all be a stoppage. Winner of that fight. Yeah.
Okay. More on this fight to come, maybe. Did you make a graphic for the bet slip?
I did, but I didn't know if you wanted to share it, so it's there if you want it.
We'll
see how we're feeling.
Maybe more on this fight to come.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the co-main event, Dom. For the women's flyweight title, by the skin of her teeth, Valentina Shevchenko retains, makes that 7 title defenses with a split decision win over Taila Santos. Your immediate reactions, Dom, like your 12 hours later reactions.
Yeah.
Did the judges get this one right? How did you score it? How did you feel about the decision? And how surprised were you in, Taila Santos, I guess, giving Valentina her toughest test to date at flyweight?
Yeah, this fight showed, I think, obviously we all know that Valentina's great, yada, 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 7 title defenses. I think this fight showed how good Taila Santos is. Not to mention, her orbital bone is likely broken, and she still fought 2.5 rounds with it that way. This was a great performance for her, a standout performance for Santos. Yes, she came up short on the judges' scorecards. If I'm not mistaken, I actually scored it 3-2 for Santos, actually. But there was, and I keep blanking, I'm going to have to watch this fight again. But I think it was round 2 was the round where I'm like, fuck. I'm looking around the room. We were like 10 people watching last night. And I'm like, I don't know who won that round. But I'm thinking Taila Santos won that round. Either way, regardless, because every week I feel like there's a judge's scorecard that we have to talk about lately. It's a mess right now in judging. A 4-1 card for either fighter, but especially Valentina last night, is unbelievable. It's a terrible scorecard, and so this is what happened when they read 49-46 on that third judge. I said, "Oh, Santos did it. Santos did win," and they gave it to Valentina. I think that says it all right there. So terrible 4-1 scorecard. But if Valentina won, wasn't going to be surprised. If Taila won, wasn't going to be surprised. That's what I said when the final bell rang. That's how I still feel today. But that scorecard, fucking terrible. We don't know how to judge fights. Judges don't know how to judge fights. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, my confidence in judging fights is lower than my betting confidence, which is
that's saying a lot.
Which my betting confidence is probably the equivalent of our year-to-date units, which is less than 0, by the way. So
yeah.
There's a lot of that was a lot of steps to get there, but basically negative confidence. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. Let me just say, I'm not going to harp on the scorecards here. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to say it's a robbery or nothing like that. But I do want to give my honest thoughts. I saw pretty much everybody on Twitter saying that they saw it 48-47, Either way, the majority, I would say, did score it for Santos. But it seemed like everybody was like, but I would be okay with 48-47 Valentina. Yeah. That seemed to be the popular opinion. When the scorecards got read and it was all said and done, Dom, I had the same exact feeling at the end of this fight as one fight previously. And I'm going to get your thoughts when I say it, because it had a much different reaction to the scorecards than this one did. John Jones versus Dominic Reyes. That was my feeling here. I can't. Okay. I understand we're running into this every week. You know, this now, like, in my brain, I'm making sure it's in my brain when I'm trying to judge these fights or score them live, you know, myself, that damage trumps all, right? That is what damage is what matters.
Yeah.
Admittedly, the first 3 rounds, Taila Santos had a lot of control time.
Yes.
A lot of dominating positions on the ground. Not a lot of damage, not a lot of ground and pound being thrown.
Yeah.
Did have her back for one of those rounds, had a few submission attempts there, but you would have to argue if you went off the striking in rounds 1 through 3, Valentina, even though there wasn't much of it, did just a bit more.
Yeah. Yeah.
But by the scorecards criteria, the first thing is effective striking and grappling. But then it does go to aggressiveness and octagon control. And Dominic, I don't see where in rounds 1 through 3 I want someone to kind of tell me in rounds 1 through 3 where was the difference in the damage and the striking for Valentina that it could make up for the dominance that most of the time that Taila showed in her ground game.
Yeah.
In rounds 1 through 3, I did not see a single round where the striking made a difference. There wasn't enough of it. I mean, sometimes, I don't know which round, if it was round 2 or 3 or what, but pretty sure Taila got the takedown like very quickly, and there was like hardly any exchanges in that round. So I'm like, how's this, you know?
Right. Help me understand, you know?
Yeah, like everybody was in agreement, including yourself, I believe, that 48-47 either way was fine.
Yeah.
And I wasn't mad at the scorecards, but I was like kind of surprised. I really thought Taila had done it. I thought that was it.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, wow. And then I saw the reactions online. I'm like, wow, well, I guess I'm wrong. Because, you know, I really thought the rounds that everybody won were pretty clear.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, that's a good point. It felt like, so to me, truthfully, round 1 felt clear Taila. Round 3 was clear Taila. 4-5, obviously, for Valentina. And I'm looking at the scorecard now. I had to pull it up because I didn't get to see it. The judge that gave 48-47 to Valentina, they gave her round 2. Obviously, the one that gave it to Taila gave her round 2. And then we have the judge that gave it 4 rounds for Valentina. So he gave her round 1 as well. Disregard that scorecard because that's bad. But it was round 2. And that's what I was trying to remember.
The round 1 scorecard, the one with the 49-46, Clemens Warner is the judge's name. So he gave her that round off of the, you know, when Taila had her back, Valentina was like throwing pretty good shots.
Yeah, she was hitting her hard. I remember that.
So that's why he gave her that round. And I even said at the end of that round, I'm like, guys, that was a Taila round, right?
But you're like someone saved wrist.
Yeah, because I'm like, there's no more dominant of a position in grappling than to have someone's back. So
she got the back mount with the body triangle too.
Yeah. So even though she's not landing damaging shots,
and she was threatening with the rear naked too.
Help me.
Yeah.
Help me to help you. Okay?
Yeah.
Like I just that's the feeling I had was John Jones, Dominic Reyes. And you know, the outcry from that fight, I'm not I wasn't surprised Valentina got the scorecards, but the reason why I thought she got the scorecards in her favor was because of the respect people have for her as being a dominant champion, not necessarily because she did enough to win. Same with John Jones and Dominic Reyes.
Yeah,
It's like that
good
argument to be the champ, you got to beat the champ.
Yeah,
I hate that argument, but it's like people act like you have to dominate a champion or finish a champion in order to take
Right.
the belt. That a close decision should not go to a challenger, and that's just kind of silly in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
let's talk about what's next for these two. And
Of course.
I think it's pretty clear, right? You run this fight back.
Yeah.
That's
I
my
mean,
reaction, Dom, because
That's actually a good point.
we can't look. It's if Valentina had lost that decision, obviously you run it back because Valentina,
of course,
being a
of
long
course.
champion, and I'm usually not one to propose an immediate rematch when a champion successfully defends their title. It's just like kind of it's a weird dynamic, right? That a challenger
Yeah.
loses and it's like, well, they deserve another opportunity right away. But here, the big difference in those rounds 4 and 5 was that Taila Santos only had one working eye, and it was from a clash of heads that caused it.
Yep.
Incidental, not Valentina's fault, but those 2 rounds could have went much different if Taila Santos is still working with both eyes. And
Yep.
because of that, I still thought she won the fight.
Yeah.
But because Valentina gets the nod and gets her belt, I do think that there's enough of I think there's a mixture of things here. One, I think you have enough. I don't want controversy is the word I'm going to use, but that's not. Everybody seemed to be pretty respectful on the whole thing.
Yeah.
But there's enough of a controversial element to that fight to where you run it back, and there's just nobody at flyweight who is like in demand for a title fight.
Yeah.
Caitlin Chukagian not going to get it. So
Yeah.
I guess, Dominic, there were those other options Valentina has mentioned about perhaps going up, fighting Amanda Nunes, fighting Juliana Pena. Do you think that her eyes are still going to be set on that, or do you think that she can be convinced or otherwise, interested in running it back with Santos?
I think, man, that's the thing with Valentina. She just seems so open to do whatever. Like, I'll go do this, I'll go do that. You just give me a name, I'll sign the contract. So I think she would take this rematch. I think, if anything, too, the way that she is, hey, you almost lost your belt. This was a close fight. Do you want to go out in a rematch and try and put a stamp on it, solidify you are that good? Yeah, I'm not opposed at all to a rematch. Like Noah said, it's just really the biggest thing going in Taylor's favor. Obviously, she almost won the fight, clearly. But there's no other clear-cut front runners in this division right now. There's a lot on the come up. There's a lot of good talent, but they're not there right now. So, I mean, there wasn't like... if Taylor's orbital bone's broken, then obviously that puts a wrench in things. But if it is just some crazy swelling that can go down, damage-wise wasn't too insane if you take that headbutt away. So hopefully it's not a broken orbital bone and they can run it back soon. Because, yeah, I mean... unless Manon Fior starches Kaitlyn Chukagian, there's no one else.
And I don't even think that would give her the claim
over Taylor. Yeah, I would agree.
Like, to me, I just feel like there's enough of that's enough of a case. Like, there's a clear thing that was technically illegal. Clash of Heads, not illegal. Like, I'm not saying Valentina did it on purpose, but there is an element that that is not a legal maneuver. And that completely made a difference in the rest of that fight. So it just seems likely that you run this fight back. And, man, you got to think Valentina's going to be favored in that second fight. But I don't know, man. That's going to be
definitely won't be no minus 630 and going into
no. Taylor was already like the biggest or the smallest underdog.
Yeah.
Since Valentina fought Joanna back when she won the title.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, crazy. More on this fight to come if we decide to talk about our bet slip.
Yeah.
Let's get into our featured bout, the rematch of the best women's fight of all time, Zhang Weili versus Joanna Jedrzejczyk. Dominic, no judges required for this one. Weili gets the KO with the spinning back fist. I saw those boys at Barstool spinning back because I saw they posted that the gif of Leonardo DiCaprio on the couch pointing at the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty kind of a nice
Good
one.
one.
You make your podcast and name after a move and it happens in a fight like
Yeah.
that. I mean, that's pretty sick. So
It's clever.
spinning back fist ends it in the second round, 2 minutes 28 seconds. In 3 seconds before the over 1.5 cashes. No reason to mention that, but all right, Dom. This fight, we know what this fight had working against it. It's only 3 rounds, no title on the line this time, and the fact that the first fight was one of the best fights of all time. A lot working against this fight actually living up to any expectations. But in your opinion, did it live up to expectations? And I'll let you even continue to just talk about your thoughts as this fight was, transpiring, what was going through your head while watching.
That these ladies were going for another fight of the night contender. That was my first thoughts. But honestly, man, how good did Zhang Weili look last night? Listen, I know Joanna's been out for 2 years. She's contemplated retirement, yada, yada, yada. But she had a 5-month training camp for this fight. She was full bore, it seemed pretty clear, for this fight. And Zhang Weili is just getting better and better. She looked so good. This training camp, she wasn't even with Henry Cejudo, and she still looked like she had been improving in her grappling and wrestling. I mean, she is an absolute stud, a beast. And then to do a spinning back fist and face plant Joanna like that, I mean, what more do you want? She's going to get a title opportunity to get her belt back for a second time, and it's much deserved. You can't go out there and do that to Joanna and not get a title shot. I'm sorry, Marina, I love you, but now you just have to fight Rose for a number 1 contender fight because Weili's going to fight Carla. That's the way the cookie's got to crumble. This was an amazing fight, and Joanna, of course, we see her retire afterwards. Gut-wrenching for many reasons. Noah was really hurting last night. I felt for Noah so bad. But then when she retires afterward, and this is someone that 6 title defenses, one of the most dominant champions we've ever seen in terms of title reigns, was always in fun fights. It seemed like to go out like that, it's tough, but it felt like a good swan song at the same time. She said she wants to be a mother. She wants to pursue other things. She's turning 35 this year. She felt the time was right. And it did feel right after losing that way, closing the rivalry too, kind of at the same time. It felt good at all aspects of the fight for both ladies.
Yeah, this fight was completely lived up,
which
is such a surprise in its own right. I put it on my list of contenders for surprise fight of the year. I really was trying to reserve my expectations.
Yeah.
Due to a lot of the factors you just mentioned. Weili had, even though she looked good in her last fight against Rose, hasn't won since the first fight. Joanna hasn't fought since the first fight. Both may come in here looking to reserve a little bit of their, attack. Joanna, maybe a bit of ring rust.
Yeah.
Weili, maybe due to a little lack of confidence. But that's not how this fight played out at all.
No.
Zhang Weili came out super aggressive. She looked big for this fight.
So strong, man.
And the strength was a big difference for her early, able to get takedowns on Joanna, which has always been something that nobody could do to Joanna.
Yeah.
That's something not being looked at enough. Is
100%.
Weili was able to get those takedowns with little effort, but she got her down.
Yes.
And Joanna, for her credit, I thought looked pretty good here. I think this bigger story is Weili being.
Yes.
I think this fight, and maybe I'll even ask you this question to cut myself off because we know how good this fight is. Are we in agreement that this fight, the result, and everything that took place here, said more about Weili's improvements than it did about Joanna? Any sort of slide from Joanna here?
Oh, I think so. I think because she won the title in dominant fashion, right? Weili this is. She got knocked out by Rose in the first round relatively quickly. She looked great in then the rematch with Rose, neck and neck. She could have won that fight and looked better this fight than that fight. We only saw a round and a half, a little under a round and a half of action from Zhang Weili. She looks incredible. The best we've ever seen her. She's 32, right at the tail end of her prime, in her prime years. She looks prime to, no pun intended, get that title back and actually put her reign together. Carla Esparza's got a battle coming. She's not.
Yeah.
Zhang Weili is not going to go in there the way that Rose did against Carla. She does not give a shit, and I can't wait to see that fight. To be truthful.
Was this knockout of the year, or this is recency bias, or do you feel like Michael Chandler or Molly McCann or someone else may still have it?
I mean, it's there. What do we do? 4 contenders at the Joeys?
Yeah, we do 4.
Right now, she's in the top 4, and 2 of them are spinning back fists. 2 of them are from women, which is so badass. I don't know if it's number 1 yet, but it's gonna be a tough discussion at the end of the year.
Technically, Molly McCann was a spinning back elbow, right?
I guess there was some spinning shit going on.
There was some spinning shit. Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting discussion for sure. I saw Molly tweeted. She's like, "Damn it! Now my finish isn't the best." And I'm like, "Well, there can be more than one. I mean, come on, Molly. Like, chivalry's not dead. We can have multiple women on the knockout of the year list."
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really it was so unexpected. And
oh, dude, yeah.
Let me just say, I'm gonna acknowledge it now instead of waiting till the bet slip. But I thought about this a lot because I had as part of a parlay piece, which wouldn't have hit either way because
true.
Jiri Glover did not go under 2.5 rounds, but me and Dominic had a long discussion on this podcast about. What's the word? Betting
etiquette.
Thank you. And Dominic has been really good since then. He just shuts.
It's only been like 2 weeks.
he just stays quiet. It's great.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk a lot on there, but he doesn't say, "No, you got this in the bag, brother."
Yeah.
But
I'll never do that again.
but there was a part of me that was sitting there, and I thought about it late, and I'm like, Dominic was watching this with people. Dominic gets real excited when he's watching fights with people, and this was a great fight. I said, so I have a theory on why this fight was stopped 2 seconds before my over minute and a half hit. I think that when there was about 10 seconds before it, I bet you were talking to whoever, and you're like, "Oh yeah, Noah's over's about to hit, so he's good." And then, sure enough, 2 seconds left, spinning back fist knocks her out. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, I promise you, I never said anything about you having it locked up. You have my word. I was watching.
Kind of struggling to get those words out there.
I was watching with a lot of people, so I'm like breaking down when the fights are starting. This is what we've got going on this. We had bets on like every main card fight last night. So I think like
and none of them hit.
Yeah, none of them hit. And I was telling them like, yeah, Noah needs this to go over 1.5 when that fight was going on, or at the end of the first round, I'm like, he needs this to go over 1.5. And then she literally, the spinning back fist landed, and I looked at, I think it was Jordan to my immediate right, and I'm like, dude, Branson sent a text in the group chat when that happened, and I literally looked at him and I said, Jake, you're gonna fucking piss Noah off if you keep texting like this, because I knew how bad that had to hurt. We've had some tear jerkers in the betting this year. It's been tough. Yeah, we get it. It's our first year.
Second quarter,
it's chalked, yeah. But to have, again, hindsight, the parlay doesn't hit regardless, which helps a little, but still, like the fact that you were 3 seconds away, and for it to happen with a spinning back fist face plant. I mean, I could, in your shoes last night when that fight happened, I can't imagine what flowed through your veins. I can't.
Well, Tom, what's so weird was surprisingly, it was the straw. Like, I texted you and I said, this is the straw.
Yeah.
And I didn't even say anything else, but I think everybody knows what I meant by that.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I couldn't even be mad. And I don't know if it's
Yeah.
because I've just gotten so used to the utter failure that
Pain.
is our betting,
Yeah.
or if it was because I just was so enamored with the fight I had just watched and the knockout I
Yeah,
had
I
just
feel
seen.
that, dude. I feel that.
It kind of like with the Yuri Glover main event, I wasn't even that mad. Like,
Yeah.
I was texting it
Yes.
just because it's so funny just how bad we did.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
we were actively trying to win money, and
Yeah.
we didn't win and we literally lost every dollar we had. Like,
Yeah,
it
we
was
lost a lot of
unbelievable.
money. Yeah.
But but people literally could have you could have had a baby or no, a dog. You put two bets out, each with dog food in it, and the dog would eat out of one. It's like, okay, that's my play, and
Yeah.
they would have done a lot better than we did.
Yeah, it feels like
You could
that.
have
from
had you could have had a baby put bet shapes into the holes
Yeah.
and pick bets that way. Would have
And
done
they
a
did
lot
better
than we
last
did.
night. Yeah. Yeah.
They are better at sports betting than we are. A baby and a golden retriever. What's that say about
Right.
us?
I
Now,
don't know, but it's not good.
regardless, we're not even at the bet slip yet.
Yeah.
I'm already talking about it. But I couldn't be mad just because of what we saw. It was a great night.
Yeah, of
A
course.
fucking weird night. I mean, Stranger Things Season 4 just came out. This was a Stranger Things UFC pay-per-view. It was the upside down every fight. Everything was not what I thought it was going to be at all. Valentina's nearly losing her title.
Yeah.
Yuri and Glover are going the distance, and then Yuri gets his first submission win since 2014. I said on this show, I thought it was more likely that Glover would walk across the cage and dick punt Yuri and get a DQ loss than Yuri getting a submission win.
Yeah.
And Dominic said, famous last words. And I was like, yeah, I said, I'll literally throw myself off the balcony if that happens. Well, I'm still here.
I'm glad you did.
I'm still here because
Yeah.
I'm dedicated. I'm dedicated to you guys, so I'm still
Yes.
here. That's why.
Yes.
So you can thank me now. Hashtag thank you, Noah. But anyways, let's wrap up this fight because it was a great fight.
Yeah.
Zhang Weili, though, Dom. Carlos Barza's next for that title. Dana made it very clear this fight was a number one contender fight, which I thought did add a little bit of stakes to it. Even more than maybe there was. I mean, it's a big fight either way, but knowing it's a number one contender fight did something here. Your early thoughts on Carlos Barza versus Zhang Weili?
I mean, a little bit of hinting at it already for me at the beginning of the discussion, but yes, we know what Carla's going to do. You never really know what Zhang Weili's going to do, but we know that she is so good everywhere right now that I don't think she's going to give a shit what Carla has to offer. And I mean, when has Zhang Weili not just came out like a bat out of hell? Like even the rematch with Rose, a lot more technical and precise, but she knows when to explode and capitalize, man. So I think it's actually intriguing because Zhang Weili will make it intriguing. That's an awesome fight. And again, I have to say this one more time, just so everyone is clear. I love Marina Rodriguez in the streak that she's on, and I felt that she deserved it up until a spinning back fist knockout. She has to fight Rose. If she wins that, there's no more excuses. But Zhang Weili is the number one contender, much deserved.
You guys hear that? Dominic was the president of the Give Marina Rodriguez a Title Fight fan club. So anybody else who subscribed to that fan club, your leader just left you in the dust. How does that feel?
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, more on this to come. I mean, I kind of just said my piece on the whole betting thing, but we'll give it a nice little cherry on top later. Let's talk about some things we missed, Dom. Just a few little news stories here that kind of popped up. Still not a lot of news going on, but these fights were so big we don't even need it. On the broadcast, we did see that the Contender Series, Season 6, starts July 27th, going for 10 straight weeks. What's your excitement? Scale 1 to 10.
It's beautiful. Our baby's back. I'm so excited to watch more Contender Series. Those Tuesday nights, there's just something about that Tuesday night action, man. It's just so special. So I'm excited. Of course, we've had a lot of discussions lately about the Contender Series. Check out Verbal Sparring from last week. Shameless plug, but
Oh, real quick though, did you realize July 27th is a Wednesday? They're moving it a day.
okay. Oh, Wednesday night Contender Series. Hump day fights. Actually, I can stay up late on Wednesday night, so it's
Which
even better.
which I'm just gonna say, kind of sucks because we record on Wednesdays.
Oh, that is tough timing. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but we'll just have to talk about them on the recap.
We'll recap it. Yeah, right. But I'm excited. You know that, and I'm excited to see what talent we will see come through this season. That's all I can say.
Yeah, completely agree. I think it's the best prospect farming show that the UFC has going. They have a lot of them. Let's talk about the new one. Debuting on UFC Fight Pass, the new Road to UFC. It's very hard for me to say the title of this show because I want to say Road to the UFC.
Yeah.
But the title is Road to UFC.
Yeah.
Let's make that clear. No the.
No the.
So Road to UFC had their first 4 episodes come out, Don. We started with 32 fighters. This of course, was being filmed. The fight's taking place in, why am I blanking?
Singapore.
Yes, Singapore, where we were just at for the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
All the best talent in Asia being kind of put in this tournament, 4 different weight classes. We started with 32 fighters. Did you have a chance to watch any of Road to UFC? And if so, I'm going to give you another scale here, even though the last question you completely skipped over my 1 to 10. But
oh shit,
let me
10.
just say, I figured it was kind of dumb for me to ask it. So on a scale of let's go with the scale of PFL Challenger Series to Contender Series.
Yeah.
What is your excitement for Road to UFC?
I think it's cool, man. I think it's a cool concept. We haven't seen tournament style stuff in the UFC in quite some time. And being that they're really trying to, segment that Asian market and blast into there and find legit prospects, I think is what makes this show unique. I think it's what makes it cool. So it is very exciting. It's not Dana White Contender Series level of exciting because I think it's a little bit lesser known. Like, it's still great young talent, but it's not like we've seen them in LFA or like even some that have been in the PFL, so on and so forth. Then a lot of them are just very young, but it is above the Challenger Series from the PFL as well. It's a perfect middle ground. I'll give it like a 7.
Is it above,
I think it's cool.
Is it above modern day Ultimate Fighter?
Being that I haven't watched any of season 30, I would have to say yes. Coming from the Ultimate Fighter guy, I'm going to say yes right now. Of course, Noah. If Habib and Tony get to coach it, then I'll have to.
Oh, don't even.
I figured I'd give you a little tickle there. But yeah, I think it's a cool concept, tournament style. I might be putting you on the spot. I didn't get to watch any of this live, by the way, just hindsight. I saw a lot of clips and whatnot. But second round details, when-ish, do we know? Yeah.
They're just late. All I know is later in the year.
Okay.
So by my, I guess what I'm assuming is going to happen, because we're down to, wait, how many fighters are we down to?
It would be 16, right? Yeah.
We're down to 16. So I think they'll do, if they're going to do 4 more episodes and do 4 fights apiece, then what's that going to take us down to? What's the math here?
You just keep halving it. So 32, 16, 8, 4, 2. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're good at math. So that's all I can say. That you wanted my thoughts. There it was.
Okay.
Beep boop, beep boop.
I like it.
But no, I know they said later in the year. I don't know if they'll be going back to Singapore for the rest of those.
Yeah, that's interesting.
They'll maybe try to do it stateside. I would say it would probably be easier for them to go to Singapore and continue that.
Yeah.
Than to bring all of those Asian fighters over to America. That's a lot of traveling to have to coordinate. So maybe the finals will be like on one of the fight night cards. That's a possibility, I would say. Since in the past, when they did like a road to UFC thing previously, that's kind of what they did. all in all, I watched the first episode. I fell asleep during the second. Not a knock on the show itself, just because
Long night.
it was last night when I tried to watch it, and I was just too tired. Um, it's fine. Look, it's Contender Series, but with all Asian fighters, which is fine. I mean, that's cool. But you know, that's really it. It doesn't feel as prestigious as Contender Series. Like you don't feel like
Right.
the level of talent is at the same level because um, when you stick to one part of the world, it's a little bit more diluted than the Contender Series, which takes from anywhere and everywhere. But I thought the fights were okay. The first fight was the best fight. The very first fight of this whole ordeal was the best fight I had seen across an episode and a half. So um, I do think that there's some decent fights going on. But is it something that I'm necessarily going to like, am I going to care too much about when the finals pop up and stuff? I mean, I'll probably watch it, but I don't know if I'll be that invested. But it's above, I mean, anything is above Challenger Series. Gum on the bottom of your shoe is above Challenger Series. And honestly, gum on the bottom of your shoe might be above the Ultimate Fighter at this point. But unless Tony and Habib coach, then maybe I'll be interested. But unlike Dom, who tried to tell me that Amanda and Juliana are the best tough coaches of all time and hasn't watched a single episode.
Go to the last bullet.
The hills you're willing to die on, my friend. Last bullet here.
This one goes
to Dom right away.
Oh, yeah.
Dom is the one that demanded this be on the script today. We're talking about BKFC. That's right, Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. They are going to London in August, following the footsteps of the UFC. So they'll be making a big splash there for their 27th numbered event. And Dominic, they got a pretty big headliner.
Yeah.
MVP from Bellator will be taking on former UFC welterweight Mike Platinum Perry. Is this the kind of fight that's going to make you watch BKFC?
Oh, absolutely not. Will not be watching this fight, but I'm shocked.
You were very quick.
Yeah. But still, though, let's not go over the fact that this is two combat sports organizations co-promoting, being in talks with one another. For Bellator to give MVP, like, hey, go do bare knuckle. And apparently he's done boxing one-offs, which I didn't know that, to be fair.
Know that either.
But for them to send him over there and bare knuckle against a former UFC guy and Mike Perry, it almost feels like they're trying to get a little like, oh, our guy's beating former UFC guy kind of thing. But it's interesting. I think it's a unique collab, if you want to put it that way, like they say in the music world. So, yeah, we'll see. It's in London. Good for MVP, home country.
Can I say something? And I mean it with no disrespect, no no offense. There we go.
Yeah.
If I say no offense, then anything I say you can't get mad at me for. Okay?
Of course. Right.
You just had two really bad takes in a minute. You had two of the worst takes you've ever had in a minute, and you didn't even realize it.
I love that for me.
So let's see. Where was the? Now I'm forgetting your takes here. So, okay, thinking that they put this fight together to be like, yeah, UFC, look, we can beat your guys. Okay, well, MVP, former Bellator title challenger Mike Perry was let go or did not get re-signed to the UFC. Not quite sure that that's what they're really going for there. And, I guess it wasn't really a bad take, but you were just incorrect in that this is not being co-promoted. This is just...
They're sharing their guy.
But I mean, they're just it's the same as Eagle FC having that Mamadov. It wasn't co-promoted. It just...
All right, I used the wrong word, Noah. You got...
Sorry, I used the wrong word. It wasn't a terrible take. It was just...
a bad
wrong.
take. Wrong.
Just wrong. But no, Dominic, I still love you. But you know what? This main event, I will say, I saw it. I was completely shocked by it.
Yeah.
But I won't deny that it didn't at least somewhat pique my interest.
It made me share the graphic with you. You know?
Are you
On
you
my
still
end.
are you still like in the camp of like are you big anti BKFC still?
Yeah, I just don't really care for it, basically, is all.
Like what's your thing? Is it too violent for you? Like
I
what's
feel
the
like, not that it's mixed martial arts, it's fight bare knuckle fighting, but I feel like where the UFC once was and all the shit that they had to go through to bring MMA to where it is today, but then we're doing bare knuckle one offs on the side that has taken us back essentially to what we were
so you feel
28.
like they're almost working against what the
Yeah.
UFC spends so much time.
And MMA in general, like all these
Yeah,
promotions,
right.
Bellator, PFL, all of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
all.
I mean, I think that's a fair point because I mean you did have someone die who fought for
Yeah.
them who was
Not to
completely
mention that.
who was very outmatched and shouldn't have been in that fight anyways. Um, I will say that BKFC at first I was pretty much in the same level that you are, and I do think that some of the decisions they've made that I've heard about over the last few months. Again, I've never watched one of their events, but it's at least made me go, okay, they're kind of self-aware about how they're they kind of know their place
Right.
in the combat sports world, and I kind of respect that self-awareness. Like I feel like they're much more self-aware than like Bellator is, or like or what the fuck was that the Triller, like
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I've gotten to the point where like I'm kind of happy that there's a place for some of these guys to go to. These guys that are like still pretty much wanting to fight in good shape, but you know, do a lot of these guys should they be fighting? Like should Thiago Alves, should some of these guys really still be fighting? Maybe not, but
Yeah.
it gives them another career after their MMA career to go to.
Make some money.
It's a bit bare knuckles a bit brutal for my taste. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
the damage is a little more noticeable and stuff, but I've got to a point where I accept it. I don't know if I'm ever going to be at a point where I'm going to be like a fan or
Yeah.
watching it, but I will admit I may check out this main event just because it's like, wow, what a weird one.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's get into some fight announcements. We do have a couple of those, and this first one's still not confirmed, more of a rumor right now. But Dominic is Mystic D right
Yeah,
there.
that's right.
Alex Perez lost his fight. Dominic said, "Why not give him Pantoja?" And the UFC said, well, we agree. So
They tuned in.
Alexandre Pantoja versus Alex Perez is in the works for UFC 277 at the end of July.
Yeah.
This is a rematch. This is
True.
the match that earned Perez a title fight in the first place when he, quite impressively, cut down Pantoja with leg kicks. I said, Dominic, on the episode, that Pantoja was sitting at home like oy vey, like grabbing his thigh, his calf, as you wanted this match to be made. But no, maybe not. Maybe he's just game for it and says, I can do better this time. What do you think of this fight?
I do think it's a fun fight. I just want to see both guys fight in general. So if this is what it's got to be, a rematch from not too long ago, that's what it's got to be. I mean, Pantoja's had a great win since that loss. Perez fought for the title and lost and hasn't fought since, but he's had 27 canceled fights. So yeah, number 6 versus number 3 gets a chance to still kind of keep relevance, get back into the top 5 there on a pay-per-view card. Sign me up.
Also, during the broadcast, we had a pretty big one announced. For the second time in the UFC's history, it'll be going to Utah, Salt Lake City. First time, fun fact, August 6, 2016.
Yeah. Fight night card, too.
Yep. Yair Rodriguez versus Alex Caceres.
Wow.
What a weird one that was. Right?
Yeah.
It was a good fight. But anyways, main event, UFC 278 in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Yeah.
Will be for the best in the sport title.
Yeah.
Kamaru Usman headlining. His welterweight title will be on the line. It'll be against a familiar foe, Leon Edwards. Dominic and the rest of the Leon Edwards fan club can stand proud. They stood by their man. They said he needs to hold out for a title fight, and here he is. About a year from when he fought Nate Diaz, he will be fighting for the welterweight title. Do you feel like justice has been served here, Dom?
Yes, I mean, in the great words of Josh from Drake and Josh, nothing bad ever happens in Utah, baby, because Leon Edwards got the title
I don't
shot.
even remember that quote, but I can just hear Josh saying it in my head.
Well, where are you gonna go?
Utah.
And why Utah?
Cause nothing bad ever happens in Utah.
He finally gets the title shot, man. Kamaru, the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. It's so funny that it is happening in Salt Lake City, Utah. That is very, very unique.
I'm crying right now.
But I'll be curious to see what else they put on this card. But, I mean, obviously, this is a great title fight. It's the one that should happen next. It's a rematch. Leon Edwards has not lost a fight since he fought Kamaru Usman in 2015, I think is when it was, 2016. And Usman's went on a tear. Obviously, he's never lost in the UFC. If he wins this fight, he will tie Anderson Silva's win streak record of 16, which is saying a lot, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot riding in Salt Lake City.
So you're telling me was that's got to be a clip where Josh,
Oh, it's going to be in here. Don't worry.
Well, yeah, no, but I mean, if I remember right, is Josh like freaking out and he's like,
Yes.
I'm going to go to Utah. Nothing bad ever happens in Utah. That's got to be it, right?
Precisely, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And the way he says it was essentially just like that.
Yeah. See, I didn't remember it, but then once you said it, it popped into the brain. Also, classic one-liner Drake. I don't know why this line always sticks out to me. When they're going to that wedding, and the mom says, "Drake, don't eat a hot dog when you're wearing a tuxedo," and he goes, "This hot dog's not wearing a tuxedo." Classic.
That's one of my all-time favorite shows.
So this fight, I mean, look, guys, I know me and Leon Edwards have had a complicated relationship. Dare I say, he may also, if he saw me on the street, be like, it's on site.
You got a couple interesting relationships in this 170-pound division.
Oh, yeah, that's very true. I'm not against Leon Edwards getting the title fight by any means. I think that he has the win streak. I know this fight's happened before, but he hasn't lost since that fight, and that was, I guess, about 6 years ago now, maybe. So, for that reason, and I mean, the win streak's been solid. He beat Nate Diaz. He beat RDA, guys like that. I have no problem with it. So, I'm not even going to go into kind of what my complicated relationship with him is because of. Because the title fight looks like it's going to happen. And, as it gets closer, I do kind of start to believe in Leon Edwards' chances a little bit more. Just a little bit. Not to the point where it's a bit like Taila Santos. I was like, I think there's a good reason to believe that she was Valentina's toughest fight. Mm-hmm. I can't really say the same for Leon against Kamaru because, Colby Covington's given him such tough fights.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you even got Gilbert Burns dropping him in a fight. But Leon is fighting Kamaru at an interesting time in Kamaru's career. Kamaru has admitted that he is wanting to spend more time with his family, with his daughter, raising her and whatnot. And then he's also calling for a boxing fight with Canelo Alvarez at the same time, which we can all make fun of. But I think he's dead serious on wanting that fight.
Yeah. Coming off injury, too. Surgery.
And look, we just said, we were speculating, the moment that these fighters, it seems to always happen this way, the moment these fighters start kind of looking at these greener pastures, Valentina started doing it.
Yeah.
Talking about going up and fighting Pena or Nunes. And look at what just happened. I'm not saying that's why it happened, but it just seems like it's always a sign that either, whether it's a loss or a reality check maybe, Kamaru Usman might be in store for one. He's going up against a really good boxer and Leon Edwards. You want to box? Well, here's an MMA boxer. And
Yeah.
You be careful what you wish for. If he's going to try to box with them for 5 rounds, it may not be as easy as you would think.
There it is.
Salt Lake City, Utah, baby.
Salt Lake City.
Now let's get into the rest of UFC 275. A lot more to talk about here. Jake Matthews, the Celtic kid. I mean, talk about a
Holy
standout.
shit.
If you want to go off a standout, if you go past those first 3 fights and like a standout performance of the night, he took on Andre Fiallo, who was Dominic's biggest story of 2022. It was a bigger story than Will Smith slapping Chris Rock in Dom's eyes. You know,
Yep.
that.
Yep.
God, I'm really laying.
It's all right. I'm soaking it like a sponge, baby.
Okay, gonna walk past that one. But Jake Matthews, never to be deterred, takes advantage of the opportunity and not just knocks out Andre Fiallo, but completely pummels him for a round and a half. We thought Jake Matthews' route to victory here was to use his strength and grapple Andre Fiallo, but his striking is the best I've ever seen of him.
Yes.
And I'm ready to say, give him a top 15 opponent. This was that impressive to me.
Yeah, this was unreal. I mean, we're talking he fought over a year ago with Sean Brady. Nobody's ever beaten Sean Brady, right? He's undefeated. So he takes this long layoff. He's been getting better. From all signs, he's been getting better during these layoffs. We were talking about that inactivity throughout this such a strange career for Jake Matthews, just in terms of the length and how young he still is. To do this to Andre Fiallo, who had so much momentum, who carries so much power in his hands, Jake Matthews never looked worried. He never even hardly got hit in this fight outside of the couple crazy exchanges to finish the first round. He looked crisp, strong. The movement, I mean, it was a damn near flawless performance. It shocked me. I couldn't believe how good it was. For a guy that is known for his takedowns, as Noah said, who has gotten finishes, but it's ground and pound or it's via submission, to do this on the feet against such a dangerous opponent, top 15 all day. I agree with you 100%. I mean, that was an awesome performance.
That he really seems to be filling out now at 27 years old. Not only does he look big, I mean, he's huge for this division.
Ripped. I mean,
we already know that his wrestling is great.
Yeah.
And if this performance is anything to go off of, this is a well-rounded guy here. This is a dangerous threat for this division. And it just, you know, maybe we were just a little too enamored with the story of Andre Fiallo, but make no mistake, Fiallo was a game opponent here who was had all the momentum, all the who's who in the UFC kind of riding with them. And Jake Matthews upset a lot of people last night.
Oh yeah.
Upset, you know, betting wise kind of thing, you know, not
including us too, but a lot of others as well.
Our opener at the main card, Jack Della Maddalena, Jackie Moon himself.
He didn't let us down, at least.
No, he gets the first round TKO of Ramazan Ameev, 2 minutes 32 seconds of the first round. Dominic, your thoughts on Jackie Moon's performance?
Well, like I said, betting-wise, he didn't let us down, but he made it scary, right? We had some asshole clinching going on because he was in a tight anaconda choke. Tight. But the fact that he stayed so composed, he did what he needed to do to defend, gets out so good, gets back to the feet, and his boxing, I mean, it's unreal. He's so crisp and just
Ameev landed
precise.
a couple good shots early.
Ameev did land good shots.
So, you know, Jack, you know, he had to work for this, but for 2.5 minutes, I mean, you can't say that he, you know, anything else but what an exciting young fighter for this division.
Yeah, and so many people were saying they were surprised by this matchmaking, which I understand. You got a young guy, he's on a tear, he's from the Contender. He should have gotten like an easier matchup. I was all for this matchup, giving him something hard in his second UFC fight, and to pass it like he did. I mean, come on, man. This dude, legit prospect right now at 170.
Yeah, someone, though, fucked up, Dom, because when they showed Ramazan Ameev in the cage, and that left side of his torso
what was that?
Was completely red, I went, that's not normal.
Yeah.
The story that I heard on Twitter, and, you know, it's unverified sources here, I'm sure, so I kind of just read this and moved on, but apparently the rumor is that Ameev was taking like a nap outside, and he had himself covered with like towels, and then someone moved one of the towels that was covering his side, and it gave him sunburn.
That was a sunburn? Oh,
That's what I read.
wow.
That was a pretty gnarly sunburn.
I
'Cause,
was
mean,
wondering. It was such a weird spot.
Yeah, and because it was only like half the torso.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I read. Take that with a grain of salt, but it makes sense. It looked like a sunburn or
Yeah.
something. All I know is it was a target, and that's how Jack
Yeah.
finished the fight. I'm pretty sure. Didn't he finish it with the body shot?
He had a nasty body shot to drop him. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
which I'm not saying is because of the burns, but I will just say, as someone who has had sunburn a couple times, if I got punched or kicked where I had it, I'd probably squeal over too. So,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just, no shame in it. I mean, me and you, we ain't so different.
Right. Right.
We capped off our prelims with another just really good fight here between Josh Kulabau and Sungwoo Choi. Kulabau ends up getting a split decision nod, which I don't think quite tells the story of this fight, because I don't think you can score this fight for Sungwoo Choi
Yeah.
and be serious.
Yeah.
But both these guys, man, they went for it. That's what I'll say. They really went for it. Sungwoo Choi showing a hell of a chin, getting dropped multiple times, but being landed on flush for 3 rounds straight.
Yeah.
But him being every Sungwoo Choi fight's a fun fight to watch, because the guy, much maybe to his detriment, just fights with reckless abandon. And
Yeah.
when he gets hit, he kind of just gets angry and starts charging forward. And that's kind of what he did here, and he had some success when he did that, but ultimately, Josh Kulabau, he looked damn good in this fight.
Yeah, this was an interesting performance. Josh, before this, was 1-1-1 in the UFC. Young guy, another Australian. A lot of Australians on this card too that I noticed, and he looked great, man. He looked good. It was always funny. I remember when we were watching this, I'm like, man, just look at the physiques. Josh just looks like a guy you'd see walking down the street. Sungwoo Choi's built like a fucking statue. He's super tall and long. He's got the nice hair, everything about him. He's tan. And then Josh just puts on such a great performance. Sungwoo Choi has a chin made of granite. It was such a fun fight to cap off the prelims. Yeah, I mean, what more can you say?
Anybody who took my advice about fading the Contender Series guys may have been screwed over here, as Maheshati
Wow.
gets the first minute KO of Steve Garcia, a minute 14 seconds in. Garcia walked right into it, Dom.
Yeah, this was the first of 2 face plants, obviously the other being Joanna. And this one, that right hand, Maheshati found the opening. Steve walked into it. Bam! Head turned all the way to the side. I mean, it was just one of those like perfect knockouts. That's what this was. But to do it, the 3rd youngest fighter in the UFC, Maheshati, and he was the first Chinese fighter to ever get a contract from the Contender. We know that when they bring in some of these Asian talents, they don't do so hot in the beginning of their careers. So this was such a statement to be had to start your career like that in the UFC. 9-1 now. It was brutal.
Brendan Allen gets a unanimous decision win over Jacob Malkoon. Didn't make it look easy, but he got the job done. This is one of the only smart bets that I had of the night. This fight did go to distance. Did you agree with the scorecards? Brendan Allen 2-1. There was a lot of controversy on that.
I did. Betting bias aside, even. I had Brendan Allen 1-3, round 2 to Malkoon. Round 1 was close.
Agree.
Round 1 was close, but Brendan had the more damaging shots. He did get top control as well. They were kind of back and forth in the grappling. Fun fight. Nothing like too exciting. Definitely for Brendan Allen's sake. He's usually in these super crazy scraps, but when you're fighting Malkoon, that's how it's going to be. That dude has a game plan, and he does not fade away from it no matter what. And even in this loss, he showed it. So I don't know how high Malkoon can necessarily go because he's very one-dimensional. Brendan Allen, again, it's a good win regardless, and I still believe him. He's young, 26. Fun fight. Semi-fun fight.
Yeah. And lastly, didn't expect to talk about this one on here, but Silvana Gomez-Juarez gets the first minute KO of Long Na.
Yeah.
Minute 22 in, Dominic. Gets her first win in her UFC career, and what a way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I took a risk taking Liang Na as an underdog, knowing that she could probably get knocked out, and she got knocked out, but holy shit, I knew this fight was going to be fun. I knew it wasn't going to go the distance, but the main event just had to go over 3.5 rounds. But yeah, this was awesome for Juarez. 37 years old, to get a win like that. Nasty, like one-punch legit knockout. It was awesome. So many great fights, man.
So, Dominic, we're done with the rest. Let's talk a little bit about the bet slip. Now, you guys can go look at our. You can go look at our graphic. You can go see. You can go do the
on
math
YouTube
yourself. If you're really that interested, you can go see.
Yeah.
But here's what I'm going to say: the result for this weekend minus a lot.
Yep.
Year-to-date standings less than 0.
Yep.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
It was our worst night of our betting, short but tumultuous betting history.
Yep.
It was the only night that has rivaled this for me personally was the infamous Super Bowl weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where I went 0-12 on college basketball.
Is that still number one then? I mean, it's got to be.
I think I lost. I lost triple digits worth of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which for some people probably were like, "Oh, these guys, I bet triple digits for every bet I place." Well, okay.
Yeah.
So
All right,
let's
tough
calm
guy.
down.
Yeah. We just started in January.
Yeah. But I'm going to say it once. I'm going to say it again. We're not professional bettors.
Right. It's called the below average bet slip for a reason.
We're just having fun.
Yeah.
Although,
We're learning.
well,
Yeah,
say we're
having fun's a bold statement.
There's not a lot of fun being had.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're learning.
We're trying to
There you
learn.
go.
Yes.
Yeah, we're learning.
Yeah.
We're going to stick with it.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to be honest.
It's not good.
I know people like, okay. Professional bettors or people who, that's what they do as like their podcast or that's their niche in the UFC.
Or even like sell picks,
Yeah. There's people who do that. There's people who post their picks for free.
Yeah.
That's kind of their thing,
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of guys we follow on Twitter who do that.
Yep.
That's great. And I know people hold them to like, you post your results and keep track of your units. Like what's the word? Like that's the right thing to do,
Yeah.
Look, we ain't professionals, so I ain't fucking doing it. You're probably not gonna see our results ever again. We're just gonna skip past that, and we'll keep putting our bets together. You can keep fading us.
You're gonna make so much money. This week you would have made so much money.
But all in all, I'm done with year to date. Gone.
Yeah, it's like, back end Excel sheet shit. I'm gonna have it there to like look at.
Yeah.
But unless we hit 10 straight weeks, you guys might not see it for a while.
Yeah,
We'll put
exactly.
it that way.
Look, you guys can say.
But we're not
whatever
gonna
you want.
lie. We're not gonna put together false numbers.
No,
that ain't happening.
No, people can say whatever they want. They can say, well, that you need to stand by it, win or lose. Well, you try losing as much as we've lost, and you stand by that, okay? It's embarrassing, people. We're done with it. Look, I get it. We're below average. We're below average Joes. Blah blah blah. Well, damn it, I wanted to do good at this.
Yeah,
I didn't want to lose money.
I didn't either. Yeah.
I mean, anything else on the bet slip, Don? Was there anything that like kind of stood out, or
everything?
you know what? Actually, you're the positive one of our duo here. What's the positive spin that you can put on this? Because I think we're all due. We need a little positive spin on this. Anything?
Well, I technically hit a parlay. That got fucked up going into it anyway. I should have known from the get-go that was an omen for this whole week when the Manel Cop fight dropped out.
Well, I'm hearing
Noah hit a plus 150.
half unit.
Half a unit. That's it. I don't have anything.
Okay.
I'm just going to say everything that could have went wrong in terms of like our bets hitting went wrong.
Yes.
Because I'm going to stick with this. You know what? No, fuck. You said you want some positivity. I'm going to say it right here. I'm standing by it that I have one bet that I regret. Liang Na money line. That was just a risky one that I felt I wanted to take a chance on. All the other bets, research backed. I felt confident in every single play. And it's just a week where none of it mattered. That's the reality of the game. That's the game we play.
Okay, so, well, that wasn't as positive as I thought it was going to be.
It wasn't, was it? That's all I can do.
That's all you got. It's really the one time that I asked for it, you're like, best I can do is mid.
yeah.
Like, okay, Rick Harrison. Like, last time I asked you. Okay, let's get into closing statements, Dom. You know how we do things around here. We don't end it with the little see you bye.
Yeah.
Well, I mean we do, but we end it closing statements. Is the point of the show where me and Dominic get to get anything and everything off our chest, MMA or not. Dominic, do you have any closing statements for this Monday edition?
Noah, you mentioned it at the top. I'm going to bring it back here again. My little sister in her 6th dance recital today on Sunday as we're recording this. I'm excited. I get all emotional and gushy and lovey-dovey when I go see her dance because it's something she's really passionate about, loves to do. She's never done basketball or softball, all that stuff. Dance has been her thing for a long time. And we all go there and we watch her. And I feel like a really proud big brother in those moments. And I'm really excited to see her do it again today. I know she's going to crush it.
That's actually really kind of warms my heart a little bit. But I do have to say I'm also laughing on the inside because for one reason, well, guys, you guys don't know this about Dom. I do because I've lived with him for multiple years. I've been around him for such a long time. There is nobody like his family's great, and they very much are very tight and close and connected, and you can tell that Dominic's just a very family-oriented guy, and the rest of his family is the same way. But it'd be hard to tell that if you went off of how they talk to each other on the phone. Because anytime I've seen Dominic's mom call or his dad call or his sister FaceTime or something, it goes about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's literally Dom answering going, what? And then they'll be like, what are you doing? He's like, playing game or something.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, how's school going or something? Like, no, it's good. All right, love you, bye. Love you, bye.
Yeah.
So it's just funny
Our
to
phone
hear.
calls were so opposite.
Yeah. Well, that's true because I'm like the complete opposite where I have like 1.5 hour conversations with my mom on the phone. But it's just really funny to hear you say that because I know how much you care. I know you're a real good big brother. But I think
so
that
funny.
it's just like you just have to know Dom to know.
Yeah.
that's
It's
how he
unique.
is.
Yeah.
As for my closing statement, do I have anything? Actually, I'll give a movie recommendation. I didn't realize that there was a movie theater like 5 minutes from my apartment.
Nice.
Which is really nice. Real new theater. It's called a Escape. Like it's the letter X and then Escape Theater. They spelled it like it's the late 90s and Limp Bizkit's like killing it on the charts, that kind of stuff. But they had they do this thing. They have extreme showings of their movies. So I went and saw an extreme showing of Top Gun Maverick. So I went and saw Top Gun. Highly recommend it. I give it 9.1 out of 10.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so
that's saying a lot. For those that don't know from Noah, like this dude knows movies. That's big. Big score.
Yeah, it is a perfect kind of summer blockbuster, like pump your fist in the air type movie. The any scenes involving flying are thrilling. The characters are great. I mean, the story's great. It's just a really good movie. It's doing really well right now, obviously. Mm-hmm. This might be knowing that now that there's a movie theater that close to me. It might get a little dangerous this summer. I might be hitting up the theater a lot. I was actually, Dominic, I walked out of my showing and I got out of there probably it was a 6:45 showing. I probably was walking out right around 9 o'clock. And there was a 9:30 showing of the new Jurassic World. And I was very close to literally turning around, going back to the box office and buying another ticket. But I said, I don't know if I can do that. That's a lot of sitting in a theater, time.
Yeah.
But my dad wants to go see the new Elvis movie when that comes out. with
Okay.
me When he comes July 4th weekend, which I know you guys don't know this, but my very original first music guy, the guy that I was thought was the man, was Elvis Presley. Do you
Yeah.
remember that, Dom, about me? Do you remember that?
I remember you telling me that. Yeah. Well, it was in tattoo discussion talks, if I'm not mistaken, either.
Oh yeah, I guess it was.
So, yeah.
Third, fourth grade was kind of when I first started to really appreciate music.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember a lot of people back then. That was when Eminem was where
Yep.
these young kids we were who were you listening to in third and fourth grade? It was AC/DC.
Yeah, I was rock as a young kid. Yeah.
Okay. I remember Lil Wayne, Eminem being very popular, and yeah, ACD, because that's where I went into after that. But basically, it started with Elvis Presley. My family took a trip to Graceland, his home, for a vacation. I was I'm telling you, obsessed with Elvis Presley. You know, Dominic, how I get on my obsessions.
Yes. Yes.
It may not last forever, but for when I'm in it 110%.
Yes.
Then that kind of transitioned to 80s, 90s rock, AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I just went on a lot of different directions. It got really weird there, people. The rap stuff was weird. It got weird for a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, weird tangent. Go see Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, bring it back.
I guess the extreme showing, they say, I didn't really know, by the description, it didn't really tell me what makes it
Extreme.
an extreme. Well, it's a 4K projector, which I don't know if that's any different than normal theaters, but I guess what it is that they have the biggest screen of any theater. And now side to side, I couldn't really tell a difference. I haven't been to a movie, by the way, since I saw Us in 2019.
Wow.
I don't know if anybody remembers that movie, but very good. But yeah, 2019 was the last time I saw a movie in theaters. So it was the first time post-COVID to see one. But I could tell by how tall it was. This movie was so tall that, it was a good way to watch a movie. That was a nice way to spend a couple hours.
Nice.
So yeah, make sure everybody go check it out.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But Dominic, my name's Noah.
Yeah.
Your name is Dominic.
Right.
Our name is the Below Average Joes. And we will see you guys on Thursday.